Hello everybody and welcome to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Sal, I'm joined today by Dan. We're going to be talking about the Morbius movie because we're going to offer two very unique perspectives. Dan has seen Morbius and is legally barred from talking about it until Wednesday, which is why this video is coming out on Wednesday. So, we're going to talk about Morbius. I did not see Morbius because I have not seen it early, but I have the next best thing, and that's the director on Twitter spoiling the movie for me, which is exactly the experience I wanted. So I'm really excited to compare notes and talk a little bit about Morbius. And more importantly, the stuff you care about. We're not talking about, I think, the struggle of Dr. Michael Morbius and whether he finds love. I think we're really going to be focusing on the Spider-Man element of the Morbius movie.
Yes.
So,
also, for the record, for those watching, I have not seen or read any of the leaks.
That's right.
Because mostly I was like, well, I already saw it. I don't care too much about the leaks.
Yeah, no. And I had heard leaks, and then I saw that morning the director was going on the internet, officially sanctioned, I might add, to just openly talk about the movie before the movie comes out.
Which, my favorite part of that is the fact that the director was able to spoil the entire movie, and I'm not allowed to tell you my opinion of it until the 30th.
Right, exactly. I gotta tell you, man, I've never been excited about Morbius, whether he was in a cartoon or a comic book or a movie. Anytime Morbius shows up, I'm like, no. I do have one spoilery question for you about Morbius, and I think it's the one we all have on our minds. Does he get leech-like suckers on his hands?
I don't think so. Not to my memory.
There's no reference to the leech sucker thingy, because honestly, in the Spider-Man 90s cartoon, that was how they got around the censors. They're like, we can have a vampire, but he can't bite anybody. So instead, he generates these like leech-like suckers on his palms and absorbs their plasma, which I think is 1,000 times more wretched and horrible and offensive than a vampire biting somebody. We've had 300 years of conditioning to be used to a vampire biting you. I have never in my life seen hand suckers and extracting the plasma from blood. Not blood. No, this is a filtration system.
Right.
Pass. It's horrible. So I guess what do we talk about what you thought about Is this a review of Morbius?
I don't know. I can give my opinion if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah.
So my opinion was it had its moments. It was entertaining, but that's kind of where it was. That I think the biggest problem that I had with it was it started off with huge vibes of a horror movie, which honestly, even as someone that doesn't like horror movies, I was into that, because I was like, oh my goodness, like this is a cool dark element, but like halfway through it feels a massive tonal shift to a kind of a lot more humor added in, and I don't know, it honestly felt like two movies that were just kind of put together. Overall, like I would give it like maybe a 6 out of 10, because I did get some entertainment value. I was like, okay, like there's some cool stuff about this, but it also wasn't one where I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone definitely needs to see this. It's definitely if you have an interest, if you want to see Matt Smith as a villain, because as we've seen, all the doctors end up as villains in the Marvel movies.
Yeah, wow.
And Marvel properties. I actually got a chance to ask Matt Smith about that, and he was like, hey, we're so used to being the hero. It's fun being the villain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like this also kind of had the opposite of the Batman, where the Batman sometimes you were like, oh, this scene was a little long. This could have been shortened a little bit. Whereas Morbius, I feel like there were key details that were just kind of passed over. Like it was like you kind of reached some points where you're like, hold up, how does that connect to this? Or when did this happen? Because they did a couple time jumps as well. Okay. So it was like those time jumps weren't always very clearly stated. So it did add a little bit of confusion, but I mean, it was entertaining, and if you like have any interest in Morbius, it's worth going to see.
Okay, all right. I think some people will go see it. I think I know that you mentioned the horror element, and I think that's like the main draw for everybody. Anybody who would see Morbius wants to see a horror movie about a man who sucks blood, because I think the only reason, the justification of like a Sony verse or a previously established Fox verse, you know, like all the different superhero and superhero adjacent franchises, they're like, I want to see something different. You know, it's why people are drawn to the DC extended universe. It's like, show me something different from the Marvel formula. And that's, I think, what people are hungry for, no pun intended, with Morbius. But it sounds like there were conflicting studio notes where they're like, we are making a horror movie. We're doing something different. Maybe an R-rated movie. And then they went, I'm a little afraid of that. Plus, it's supposed to be in a Spider-Man universe, and maybe one day we'll get Spider-Man back, or at the very least, we'll use a Spider-Man in this universe.
Right.
So let's talk about Spider-Man. I understand, according to the director, that this takes place officially in the Venomverse.
Yes,
there are
a couple references around that.
There are a few there are a few interesting elements. Okay, so first of all, in the trailer, there was a poster of a PS4 loading screen with Raimi's suit, but with murderer scrawled across the side. So we're like, wait, but they think Spider-Man's a murderer in the MCU, but that's Raimi's suit, but that's Morbius in the Venom universe. So what Spider-Man is it? And as I understand it, this movie does not do anything to try and make you understand, outside of the fact that we know it's not in the MCU.
That's the funny part. I don't recall seeing that scene with that poster in the actual movie.
Well, as I understand it, they deleted it. They just omitted it. They put it in the trailer to trick you into going.
I think it was a combo of that as well as a kind of No Way Home thing. We don't want to give anything away, and let's just throw something out there to really kind of tease people, because everyone's already like questioning that, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen with all of this? Is
Venom in this movie?
Venom is not in this movie, but the line where Morbius says, I am Venom.
Yeah.
That is in the movie, and the trailer where he goes, nah, I'm kidding, I'm Dr. Michael Morbius, that's not in it. So
what?
that I think was just a joke.
Ad-libbed.
It makes sense, though, because at that time, everyone's hunting Michael Morbius.
Okay.
So it's like he kind of doesn't want to be like, hey, I just broke out of jail.
Yeah. Okay, so no Morbius, or no Venom. But, nope. And according to Cinema Blend and the director of this film, Morbius lives, quote, in the same universe as Venom. This is the universe we saw Venom exit at the end of Let There Be Carnage and return to at the end of No Way Home. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. The other question was, is there a Spider-Man in the Venom universe? His response was, of course. So we know Spider-Man's here. They asked, okay, which Spider-Man exists in the Venom universe? And he said, quote, it is my understanding that audiences will discover the answer soon. That's one of the few things he did not give away. Do we know by the end of this what Spider-Man it is? Okay.
No. The only possible reference, did he spoil the post-credit scenes?
He did spoil the post-credit scene. Well, he spoiled the one in which a villain appears.
Okay, yeah, that's basically the only real reference as to maybe it's that Spider-Man, but at the same time, it's almost a confirmation that it's not.
Right.
Because
so you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the scene, I mean, I'll go ahead and spoil it since it has been. I'm sure people will find it by the time that this goes out. And if you don't want to be
spoiled, just save us for later and we'll watch it later.
So basically what happens is Michael Keaton, Vulture, just randomly appears in prison. And everyone's literally just in a cell. He appears, and I'm pretty sure it's the implication of when they all get sent back to their universes, he somehow ended up there. And the reason why I don't believe it's Tom Holland, even though they're connected, is no one knows who he is. Right. He is literally released from prison because they're like,
Who are
we
you?
don't know why he's here.
Yeah.
But it also, then you get the second post-credit scene, which doesn't make entire sense because he somehow has his entire Vulture suit from the other universe that did not teleport with him into the jail cell. So...
I have an explanation for that.
Okay, let's hear it.
The director went on Twitter and he said, apropos of this, at the, what did he say? He said, if you look closely, you will see it's not quite the same suit as Homecoming. He's a resourceful guy. So, he is Vulture.
That's a lot of implication for just flying onto scene and saying, we should team up.
Didn't these guys learn their lesson from Spider-Man 3 when Venom shows up and says to Sandman the equivalent of, let's team up? But we know what they're doing. And the director basically said, that's what they're doing. They're setting up a Sinister Six.
Oh, yeah.
With a vampire in it.
Which that honestly is, it'll be interesting to see where that goes because he's not a villain.
No.
In this movie. Like,
no, he's the hero of this movie.
He is the hero, and it's not even like a kind of questionable hero thing. They truly made him the hero by making Matt Smith the villain.
Right.
So it's... like I said, there's a lot that's left out that you feel like, okay, there's clearly some hints or dialogue that should explain this that is not said.
Okay. But we do know at the end of this, it's in the Venomverse. Spider-Man's running around. Which Spider-Man? We know it's not Tom Holland because Michael Keaton's Vulture leaves the MCU, comes to the Venomverse, and so that Spider-Man is over there. There is a Spider-Man still in the Venomverse, which we have not seen, or maybe we have. Who knows? My money's on Andrew Garfield, but there was some theories going around that maybe they were going to put Andrew Garfield in this movie in a post-credit scene or something from the delays. They did not do that.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that boat. I think it's going to be Andrew Garfield because I have heard a lot about him being the Spider-Man to fight Venom.
Right.
I've seen that.
Awesome.
It's probably rumors and stuff, but it's also very, very possible. And so that's kind of where I'm leaning. Plus, Tobey Maguire might be a little old at this point to play like a teenage Spider-Man.
Well, and I think it'd
or
be kind
early
of
20s Spider-Man.
Right. Well, and I think that like I don't want Tobey in this universe because if you're ever going to bring back Tobey again in a non-ensemble picture, like in a Spider-Man 4, make it Raimi's Spider-Man 4. Like just make it irrespective of all that. He had a Venom. Like let's move on.
Yeah.
And Andrew Garfield didn't get enough time. So let's spend some time here. Oh my God! So this movie, man. Okay.
And I will say when I interviewed Jared Leto about it,
yes,
he was saying because I asked him, "Do you want to fight Spider-Man and which one?" Basically, he told me yes. He definitely wants to fight Spider-Man. He even referenced that he's a big fan of UFC fighting and kind of wants to like fight Spider-Man in a similar way. Thought that was interesting.
Okay.
He didn't give a clue as to
which
one, but he did commend Tom Holland as kind of his favorite Spider-Man.
Okay.
Like the one that he thinks is doing a great job with the role.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was to throw me off, like if he had been told to not share who it was, which, I mean, that's kind of a reverse process of elimination if that's the case.
Yeah, throw you off the scent. That's interesting. Although you said they're setting up this movie where it's like Morbius isn't really a villain, so why would he want to fight Spider-Man at all?
I mean, let's be honest though, even heroes in Marvel and DC, that's always how the team ups start. They fight each other, the miscommunication, and they're like, oh, we're on the same side.
That's right. Yeah, especially Spider-Man. So if anything, if anybody's going to screw that up, it'll be him. There you go. Okay. But those are the key things they gave away. Like, they were alluding to a Sinister... And by the way, the question they asked him was, are they setting up a Sinister Six movie? And he said, well, Vulture is recruiting, and he just got one interested person. So, and I'm like, oh, so you're still making that Sinister Six movie?
Right.
because I'd just rather see Spider-Man fight the Sinister Six in a movie rather than watch the Sinister Six, like, pull off a heist or something. Okay. Well, here we are in a world where Morbius exists. Yeah. Oh, do they say bat radar in the movie? Or do they say echolocation? Okay.
They do not. I mean, they refer to echolocation, but they don't say
bat radar.
Bat radar.
All right.
I think they very much tried to steer clear of anything related to that. So
yeah, good. All right. Well, there you go. All the questions that are worth asking about Morbius the Living Vampire.
I still find it funny, the fact that you ask me all these things. I can only say it in technically 2 days from when we're recording this.
Right.
But the director already told you all of it.
I can't believe it. Yeah, he gave away all the stuff that people would ask, or maybe people who wouldn't go see a Morbius movie otherwise, but would to find out.
Right. I will say though that Matt Smith's performance as the villain, he does a very good job of playing one of those villains that isn't like a standard villain, but more like it kind of got some humor to it a little bit, and so
he's playing with the role. He seems like he's having fun with it.
He seems like he's having a lot of fun with it. Plus, the role that he has like no background. Oh. I'm pretty sure his character is it is an existing character, Loxias Crown.
Okay.
But I think he's only appeared in like a couple pages like 50 years ago.
Oh. Okay.
So there's not too much there, but I think they did do good jobs at portraying their respective roles. So I will give them credit for that, definitely.
Cool. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, credit where credit's due. I mean, every movie that is made is like a miracle because of the coordination that it requires from everyone involved. It's like hundreds of people getting together and telling one coherent story, or two smashed together. So, applause for that.
Right.
Yeah, so there you go. Let us know in the comments down below. Are you excited for Morbius? And or did you see it already? And if not, are you? We're looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time with another episode here on Absolutely Marvel and DC. Don't forget to join the Absolute Armada today by subscribing and clicking the bell for notifications so that you get an update every time we have a new conversation about your favorite comic book related movies and TV. We'll see you guys next time here on Absolutely Marvel and DC. I'm Sal.
And I'm Dan.
Bye.